This is Lylla, and this is her roadmap to success, and this doesn't look like a comfortable sitting position, but she doesn't really care as long as she's getting treats. All right, so in this video, I want to go over, try to summarize all the things that we went over in the session. She's a great little dog. I don't think she's an aggressive dog. The guardian, one of the guardians, the ones who's filming this actually, her eyes got about as big as saucers when Lylla started growling at me when I moved around. It's important to understand that a growl is not aggression from a dog. It's a communication, just like if I would say, hey, don't come in my house, let me merge or whatever it is. So you're going to sit now, huh? All right. So basically, if we ever correct a dog for growling, the dog's finally like, okay, that's fine. I won't growl. I'll just go straight to a bite. That's the worst thing we want. We want the dog to let us know I'm uncomfortable at something. Now, her reason for thinking that something is inappropriate is because her perception is that she's in charge. And I think the guardians, and this is, unlike most of my clients, she came to them with a lot of baggage. A lot of my clients are the complete cause of these things. So somebody else probably caused these issues. But basically, if we pet a dog when it's nervous or anxious or fearful or reactive, we're going to make it more. Now, the guardians weren't petting her when she was barking, but there are probably times where she's a little bit nervous that they might have petted, and that's pretty normal for dogs, for guardians to do. And so I went over my petting with a purpose and passive training philosophies, which are great ways to provide positive reinforcement for desired actions and behaviors. Petting with a purpose is redirecting the dog into doing something if you want to pet it or if the dog is demanding attention. And I think that bothers her, so if you want to undo the leash. So I can read some female body language too. So basically, it's just teaching the dog that these activities are great ways to get my attention. And what will happen if you ask the dog to sit before you pet it and then say the word sit, then come. That's passive training. We'll talk about in a minute. But if let's say I want to pet her, sit. So now I'm associating the act with the reward, and also the concept of you have to do something for me in order to earn something from me. And so it's some people call this nothing in life is free. I call it petting with a purpose. So and after a while, this is what you'll get. The dog prepaid for some attention. So I gave her a little attention. I should have said the word sit there. Remember, anytime you're using a treat, say the command word after the treat goes in the dog's mouth. Now, the other thing I did that I said I would talk about in a minute is what I call passive training. Sit, that's passive training. Although that one I kind of influenced a little bit unintentionally by moving around with the treats. Passive training is waiting for the dog to voluntarily give you the action or the behavior without any influence whatsoever. So if you're sitting watching TV and the dog walks up to you, pet her and say come. If she sits down next to you, pet her and say sit. If she lays down, pet her and say crash. Come up with fun command words. I have so many clients that like, yeah, and then they don't do it, and it doesn't cost you anything but creativity, and it will help dramatically. Dogs can read human facial expressions. So if I say crash and the dog lays down and my friends laugh, the dog just like, I'm the life of the party. I made everybody happy. Boy, do I like laying down. And it gives the dog more motivation to do that as opposed to just getting the treats. All right, let me see. What else did we go over? We went over some rules. The guardians have done a really I was going to tell them about rules. So if I give her the treat now, when she's doing this, I'm rewarding this behavior. I'm holding the treat, I'm letting her try to get it, but I'm using this to redirect her attention. A dog's nose controls 60% of their brain, and they cannot multitask. So while she's sniffing and trying to get this treat, she can't bark. And so we can have a dialogue, and you can hear what I'm saying. So let me see. So the rules that they already have in place are great. I would have a couple more, like having the dog sit before I actually open the door, sitting when we cross streets. Let me see, the guardians were feeding the dog after they ate, and then their schedules kind of got a little screwy, and they started feeding the dog first. Dogs eat in the order of their rank. So if we make the dog wait for us and we eat first, every time we eat, that's reinforcing a healthy leader-follower dynamic. It also helps the dog practice self-control if you're putting food in the bowl and the dog has to wait for your permission word to go eat. Now, I have 4 dogs, and I say grub, chow, feast, and eat. Those are the words that I use that mean you have permission to eat. The way I assign that is when my first dog goes over and takes a bite of food, when he takes his first bite, I say the word chow. The other 3 dogs are sitting right nearby. They hear chow, but there's no food in their mouth. When he hears chow, there's food in his mouth. So to him, chow means I get to eat. When he leaves, the next dog goes up, my dog Callie, or California. She gets the word grub. So when she hears it, there's food in her mouth, the other dog's up. So I don't know what your word is going to be. They're going to tell me. Well, I'll tell them that you like comida then. She might be a little Spanish. She said she wants to use the word for food in Spanish. Okay, so when she takes her first bite of food for like 2 months, say sushi or pasta or whatever the word is that you want, come up with something funny that means you have permission to eat. Now for the humans, if they have a schedule issue and it's not working for them to eat their actual meal, just get a chip, cracker, a piece of celery, something that makes a crunchy sound. Down. Down. and eat those first, and then give her permission to eat after. Now, if you're going to eat your actual meal before her, that's even better. Now, I'm going to show you next time she barks how you speak. You don't have to wait long. Silence. Silence. So this is a great way to teach your dog to not bark, is when they bark, use passive training to mark it within 3 seconds afterwards, give them the treat and say speak, and then immediately after, speak. Quiet. Quiet. Actually, I wouldn't say it the first time. I would just say quiet when you pop the treat in your mouth. And the idea is gradually elongate, first a half second, then 1 second, then 2 seconds, and 4 seconds. And that way, when you say quiet, you put it in context, and now the dog knows what it is that you're asking. Okay, so the video above goes over how you can use counter conditioning to help the dog stop reacting to movement, but the Guardians can also use the same principle for her reacting to unusual sounds outside. Like if one of your neighbor's doors opens and closes, which I'm guessing is something from the look I just got, is something that happens, ask your neighbor, hey, we got a cool way to teach the dog to stop barking, but I need to simulate the trigger, which is your door opening and closing. Would you mind if we just open and close your door a couple times? Your neighbor's like, and that's going to stop the dog from barking? Yeah, you can do that as much as you want. Down. Down. Now, if I'm using a treat like this to redirect the dog's attention, make sure there's at least 3 seconds of silence before you give it. This is now demand barking. I want the treat. And that grumble is not aggression. And so what I'm going to do is redirect her over there. One of the things we went over is teaching her to go to Tokyo, which is the word to go to the dog bed. There we go. Yes. All right. So basically, I went over a focus exercise as well. If you forget how to do the focus exercise, let me know. And I know the Guardians, right now they're taking, there's a national pet store that they take classes at. And they do, this store likes to use a yes as a marker word. I don't like using yes as the marker or pleasant word or positive word, because just engaging with the dog is a positive. Looking at the dog is a positive. Saying it kindly or petting the dog are positive. So it becomes like a quadruple positive. And we also say yes a whole bunch of times. So what I'd like the Guardians to do instead is just to mark with the command word. Sit. So when she does whatever it is, just the command word and not any adjectives like good sit or go sit, just the word sit. Dogs scan the first sound that they hear. Now if you do want to use one of those marker words like they were talking about, so see how she's doing? She's getting opera. She was sitting and that was getting a treat. That's not right. So she LA-wide for a second. See if she does it again. And if she does, I'll give her a treat. But if I even look at her while she's doing this, that's rewarding. Any attention is rewarding to the dog. And so as soon as she LA-wides, I'll give it to her. But she doesn't know this. This is why I call it light switch on, light switch off. Light switch on is engaging with the dog when it does what you want. Light switch off is disengaging with good timing. Now remember, you have only 3 seconds to correct or reward the dog for them to have the ability to make the connection, but it has to be repeated over and over. Crash. Well, that's the word I use. I think you guys say down. All right. So let me see. So light switch on, light switch off, whatever. So if you're petting her and then she puts her paw on your hand, stop. This is a dominance move. Also, I'd like the Guardians to get in the habit of asking. Down. I'll pay that because that was a good one. I want the Guardians to get in the habit of asking the dog to come to us as opposed to going to where she is. All right, so now this is enough. So basically, now she might bark a little bit, but I'm just going to ignore and not look at her. And because I think at this point she's realizing she can do it. But she's a smart dog. You can see she's smart because she was being, we call that operant conditioning, which is B.F. Skinner. And then she's going over the dog bed. So she's a smarty pants. And so one of the things I suggest the Guardians do is try to teach her new commands. Now the class that they're in, you're learning some great commands. One of the things they do, I think circle is one of the things you have her doing. That's a really good command. And is she just doing it like this?
Yeah. Clockwise.
And either way is fine. But that's a great command. I actually saw a dog over here at Jocelyn Dog Park, which is where the Guardians take her, and it's a yellow lab that gets humped by every dog. The guy taught his dog to spin. And as soon as the dog marks, he just says spin, and does a pirouette. Dog tries to hump, mount again, pirouette. I never did it more than 3 times, and that dog goes and looks for another dog to mount. So it's a great fun one. Another one that I like to teach dogs to do is I call it patrol. You gonna come here? There we go. Well, she doesn't want to do it now. So you see that lean, that tells me that she's uncomfortable. She's leaning away. So what I do for I call this patrol, I hold the treat when the dog comes over here. I go here, then I switch to this arm behind my back, and the dog's now here. And there we go. Let's try that. So it's the first time she's doing it. It's been a 3-hour session. She's a little worked up. When she comes back around, then I give her the treat and say patrol. If you ever watch like America's Got Talent or those shows, they show the person walking and the dog's walking around each one of their legs doing figure eights. That's where that command comes from. It is super easy. They're teaching her how to crawl. All those things are great. The more commands you teach the dog, especially a really smart dog like this, the more confident they get. I think a lot of her reactivity comes from her thinking that she is in charge. I have a lot of dogs that are reactive because I'll sit back so the guardian doesn't have to hold the camera at that weird angle. But a lot of dogs react because they're insecure. And teaching your dog more tricks and commands is a great way to help them build up self-esteem and confidence so they're not doing that. All right, let me see. I went over eating, the importance of eating and having the guardians eat themselves first before they feed her. One of the things that I want to talk about is because the